determined to get justice for her. What they get 19 years later is what some would call a cruel joke. Rathore, who retired as DGP, gets away with just 6 months and a 1,000 rupee fine. He walks out with the temerity to say, "It's a very old issue, forget about it now." Remembering, of course, to thank his wife.
No comments, I have to file appeal.
Okay. You have to file appeal. By when will you file the appeal?
Okay. Before 20th of January.
Before 20th of January you will.
And an ordinary family that dared to fight an honest fight has just one question. Is this justice or a joke?
This is the place where Aradhana and Ruchika met about 20 years back and became very fast friends. Aradhana says she can still see Ruchika around in her white dress. Aradhana gave up the game of tennis after her death, but says she'll never give up her fight for justice. In Chandigarh with camera person Ashwini Mehra, Vikram Chaudhary for NDTV.
Alright, so before we get into our debate this evening, the big question, why did the CBI not book a case against SSP Rathore for abetment to suicide? Sunita Chaudhary has been tracking that story. Sunita, interestingly, the CBI charge sheet does talk about how Ruchika slipped into depression and 4 years later after this incident poisoned herself. Why then did the CBI not find enough of a legal basis to create a case for abetment to suicide?
Barkha, that reference in the charge sheet, the way the CBI makes it, it's like one of the incidents. They're noting all the facts. What they failed to do, and of course they have then later on explained, because we went and spoke with the DIG in the case, the man in charge of the case in CBI, Satish Golcha, and he explained to us, he gave us reasons why they believe that the abetment charge won't stick. First of all, CBI says they were handed the case 10 years after the molestation took place in 2000, because in between, while the case was handed over to them, while the order was taken, Rathore then took it to High Court and wanted that stayed, didn't want the case to go to CBI. So they only started investigating in 2000. That means 10 years. To make sure that the abetment charges stick, they really have to have evidence. In fact, what a CBI officer was trying to explain to me was that, you know, if usually abetment charges only stick with dowry cases, and they have to show if they have evidence that someone has lit the match in an immolation case, that is abetment. For a crime, for the fact that she committed suicide 3 years after she was molested, it was a bit too tenuous. And the CBI says that even in the Supreme Court, they have never upheld a conviction in a suicide case unless it's a dowry case. So this was very tricky for them. And they didn't even have, because they were investigating 10 years later, they didn't even have all the evidence. They were going back. A lot of the witnesses weren't there. The family wasn't talking. The family was completely broken by then. At the time, there were false cases against the son, against Ruchika's brother. So the family wasn't willing to cooperate that much. So they really didn't have evidence, and that is why they haven't pushed the abetment charges. However, what we do know from the CBI